November 5th, 2007. In the darkest hours just after midnight, as the morning dew began to settle peacefully onto his crabgrass, a Fresno, California man captured footage of something so disturbing wandering across his front lawn that the illusion of tranquility in this sleepy Fresno neighborhood would be shattered forever. Unwittingly, one man's front lawn becomes ground zero for a brand new kind of terror, and one city has been gripped by fear ever since. Welcome to the very first episode of Super Mystery Bros, the podcast where my co-host Ivan and I sit down and discuss nothing but the world's greatest and most important unsolved mysteries. As always, I'm joined by my co-host, professional election meddler, Ivan. Say hi, man.
Hi, man.
Before we begin, I'd like to just thank anyone out there who decided to give our turd of a podcast a chance. And if you end up liking it, all that we ask of you is that you open your app, subscribe, and leave a review. Preferably 5 stars, but if it's not 5 stars, that's fine too. Just give us any amount of stars that you think that we deserve. If you do this one simple gesture of kindness, we might give you a shout out on a future episode. All right, man. Well, do you have anything you'd like to say up front before we begin, man?
No, let's get it started.
All right, well, tonight we're talking about the Fresno Nightcrawler mystery, also known as the Fresno Pants. Ivan, why don't you begin by talking a little bit about the main city that this mystery takes place in?
Fresno. It's been called the Mos Eisley of California, a landlocked city located in San Joaquin Valley, smack dab in the middle of the state. It was founded in 1872 as a mere railway station and has since sprouted up into the 5th most populous city in the state. Fresno was settled in an area abundant with the wide ash trees. In Spanish, the word Fresno means ash tree. It lies approximately 220 miles north of Los Angeles. Fresno is the closest major city to Yosemite National Park, which is recognized for its granite cliffs, waterfalls, clear streams, giant sequoia groves, lakes, mountains, meadows, glaciers, and biological diversity. On average, 4 million people visit Yosemite National Park every year. In its 2013 Park Score ranking, the Trust for Public Land, which is the National Land Conservation Organization, reported that Fresno had the worst park system among the 50 most populous US cities. Much like the rest of the cities located in California's beautiful Central Valley, its economy relies heavily on its large-scale agriculture. In the year our story takes place, 2007, it was ranked number 1 in the entire country for agriculture. Fresno is also the 3rd largest Hispanic city in the United States, with 50% of its population being Hispanic in 2020. Unfortunately, Fresno is known to have some of the worst air pollution in the entire country, a very high unemployment rate, a higher than average crime rate for the state of California, along with a high population of tweakers, which, much like nearly every other city in California, has skyrocketed in recent decades. Once known as the city addicted to the crystal meth, Fresno has one of the highest rates for meth abuse in the country. Fresno County's Department of Behavioral Health states that 29% of its residents abuse meth, while 25% abuse marijuana, 18% abuse heroin or other opiates, and 1.5% abuse crack cocaine. As the old adage goes, one man's trash is another man's treasure. When the typical tweaker walks by a dumpster and sees a piece of broken furniture or other random oddity of used to fucking nobody sticking out of it, they think,
"Hey, I could use that shit."
Last but not least, Fresno is also known for its delicious tacos.
That's really fascinating, man. Have you ever been to Fresno?
No.
We begin tonight by taking you to the front lawn of a house in the south side of this great city of Fresno, one spooky night in early November 2007. The homeowner, known only as Jose, and to all that knew him, was described as an absolute pillar of the South Fresno community, awoke shortly after midnight to the sound of his dog barking. Alarmed, he immediately got up out of bed and went to look out of his front window to see what all the ruckus was about. Seeing nothing out of the ordinary, curiosity got the better of him, and he went over to his surveillance system to check the recording. He had set this makeshift security camera up after some tweaker stole some shit from his front yard. Jose, who's expecting to see some no-good leather-faced tweaker attempting to steal his hubcaps or siphon his gas tank, instead saw something trespassing on his front lawn that was so mysterious and sinister that to this day, nobody knows exactly what it was. Folks, if you want to see it for yourselves, just pause the podcast and go onto YouTube and type in Fresno Nightcrawler, and you'll know that you're on the right video if you hear the Vanessa Carlton song playing in the background. We'll give you a few moments to pause this podcast if you need. And we're back. So I want to just describe for our listeners that didn't want to actually go and listen and like watch the clip, but Jose's front yard, it's like a rectangle shape, and facing out from his front door, like if you're walking out of his front door and towards the street, there's like a concrete walkway that divides his yard in half pretty much. And then his yard is fenced in by a cast iron fence. His driveway would be on the far left of his yard. And then the security camera is actually mounted under the eave of his roof on the front right corner of his house facing the driveway. And there's like a tree in the middle of his yard, kind of to the left of the walkway. So I hope that helps describe the scene. But I think if you want to see it, you should just watch the video. So why don't you tell us what he saw on his TV screen?
On his TV screen, Jose witnessed something tall and slender fade into view as it slowly walked from the direction of his driveway, passing underneath the tree, before temporarily stopping on his concrete walkway as his dog began barking wildly at it. No appendages can be seen on this subject. It moves off the screen towards the corner of his house, nearest where the camera is mounted. Minutes later, another figure could be seen fading into view, from the same direction that the last figure came from. This time, Jose was shocked and horrified by what he saw. What looked to be a pair of MC Hammer pants walking across the lawn, trampling over his crab grass, and hurriedly making its way across his lawn diagonally, in the same path that the first figure took. Jose rewound the VHS tape over and over, trying to grasp what it was that he was seeing. Although the footage was in black and white and recorded on a VHS tape, it was clear to Jose that what was recorded was not of this world.
All right, man. So without speculating on what this thing actually is, what do you think that the figures look like?
Just like we said, like a pair of white pants walking.
They look like pants to you, right?
Yeah, walking across the lawn.
Or, it actually looked like someone like pinching a towel and then dragging it across the lawn almost.
Pinching a towel.
Do you know what I mean? Like it kind of like if you pinch a towel from the middle and then you let it hang and then you're just dragging it across the lawn. That's kind of what it looks like to me.
And we wouldn't see them because of it's dark, right?
Yeah, well, no, I'm just saying that that's what it looks like. I'm not saying that's what I think it is.
Okay.
So Jose, who did not speak English, contacted his local Univision station the next day, which is a Spanish language network, for help in determining what it was that terrorized his lawn on that fateful night. In an exclusive interview with the network, Jose refused to let his face be shown on camera. However, it's clear from his voice that the incident terrified him. Univision in turn contacted a well-known paranormal investigator named Victor Camacho, who's a paranormal-themed radio show host based out of Los Angeles, with audiences both in the US and in Mexico. Camacho speculated that the Nightcrawler is some kind of, quote, extraterrestrial insectoid, approximately 3 feet tall, and resembling a praying mantis. It's been said that Jose was so shook by the incident that he didn't leave his house for approximately 2 weeks afterwards. The following is a clip of Victor Camacho giving a presentation at MUFON. So let's roll clip number 2.
It happened in early November. I received a call from Univision. The Univision is the biggest Hispanic network here in the U.S. And they told me, we just received a video from somebody that's really scared. This person recorded this video from his surveillance camera in the house. And we need you advice about the video. We want to know what you think about it. So we went to Fresno to see and watch this video. And I just talked to the reporter, and she wanted me to say that they were UFO, extraterrestrials. And I say, well, I can't say anything because I need to talk to the person who took the video. I can't make my mind, I need to have more facts about what's happening. So they called this person that took the video. He was so scared that said, yes, I go to the TV station and talk to you. So we were waiting for about 2 hours to this guy to appear in the TV station. And finally, I have the chance to talk to him. He was really nervous. He was scared. He didn't want to, his face were recorded in the video. So he just told me that Sunday night, he was sleepy, and then he started listening to the dogs barking in a pretty strange way. Everybody knows their dogs. And when something is going on, pretty different. So he just wake up because the dogs start barking, and said, well, somebody tried to steal something from the front yard because it happened before. That's why they put the cameras. So he just wake up, and when he wake up, this is not the video. When he just wake up, he looked to the monitor, and he said those things.
All right, man. So what did you think about the Victor Camacho presentation at MUFON?
I think he just gave the simple commentary about what was going on in the video. He didn't he didn't state any hypothesis or something. He just said that was what's going on. And also, I think the interesting part was the interview there where he talked with Jose, but Jose didn't want to show his face and was pretty nervous. I think it's quite interesting. Yeah. How about you?
Yeah,
what do you think?
We'll get into it later, but let's move on for now.
Regarding Jose, Camacho said, quote, he didn't even want to go out of the house. He stayed home for a couple of weeks. It wasn't possible that someone tried to make this video just to fool you or the TV station. These walking bridges have been known all over the world as Fresno Nightcrawlers or the Fresno Pants. To some, these entities are aliens, an unknown species of animal, extra-dimensional travelers, spirits, fairies, misidentified animals, or simply a hoax. Artists have created Fresno Nightcrawler themed artwork, and the incident has since spawned its own subculture, and vendors sell merchandise such as plushie dolls, t-shirts, and figures of the creatures. The tale itself is now just as big a part of Fresno culture as eating delicious tacos and smoking crystal meth.
Come on, man, that's not cool. There have been claims about these creatures being linked to Native American folklore. However, these claims have been debunked when Native American tribes in the area stated that these creatures are not a part of their folklore in any way and are, in fact, a product of modern times. In modern pop culture, the creatures known as the Fresno Pants or the Fresno Nightcrawlers are described as short, approximately 1.5 meters tall, with most of their height being made up of their legs, as they possess an extremely small upper body. It's an extremely small, thin, white humanoid with no discernible arms.
Shit, so it really became the part of the culture, right?
Yeah, do you think you could win in a fight against one?
Nightcrawler?
Yeah, like you just one-on-one. Do you think you
I
could
mean, if
fuck one up?
it's just a towel, man,
Well,
maybe.
you do fucking jujitsu. Do you think you could take one out?
But I'm just a white belt. Maybe after a couple.
You're
of
only a
years.
white belt, dude. You've been a white belt for like 5 fucking years, man.
Now we gotta delete that, man. The following excerpt comes from the Fresno Bee. Quote, "It's up there with Chupacabra, the Mothman, and Bigfoot," said Michael Banty, the founder of the Weird Fresno, about the Fresno Nightcrawler's popularity. Quote, "It's very niche. It seems to be bigger outside of Fresno than inside." End quote. Bunty said Fresno Nightcrawler merchandise has gotten bigger than sighting stories. Quote, "It's cute. I think that's why it's kind of flourished," he said. A lot of that merchandise can be found on ETSI,
Etsy.
where artists sell Fresno Nightcrawler shirts, pins, paintings, pillows, stickers, patches, and Christmas ornaments, to name a few. Most of the makers live outside Fresno. Nightcrawler merchandise has also been popping up at the Art Hop in downtown Fresno. The pop culture phenomenon has been building this spooky season with the approach of the Halloween. Much of the speculation about it remains centered around the original 2007 video. Despite the scarcity of the new Nightcrawler news, the mysterious being, or puppet hoax, continues to be celebrated and investigated. Quote, "It's a telephone game. It's gone around so many different times. People are adding and subtracting to the story," said Banty, who investigates ghost stories like Fresno Nightcrawler. Quote, "It's hard to tell what's what," end quote. Weird Fresno describes itself as sharing tales of the weird and strange that lurk in the shadows of Fresno and greater San Joaquin Valley area. Bunty said the Fresno Nightcrawler is a unique cryptid, in that where it was spotted is in its name. It helped bring Fresno a special kind of freaky fame. Quote, "I love ghost stories," Banty said. "And to find a good story in your area, it adds some interest." End quote.
Yeah, I agree. So in 2010, television show Fact or Fake Paranormal Files included the footage in one of its episodes and were the ones who were actually credited with naming the creature the Fresno Nightcrawler. Despite attempting to recreate it using a mechanical puppet, as well as a 4-year-old child wearing a white sheet, the recreations never quite looked the same. They concluded that it was unexplainable. So as a side note, this turd of a show is available on YouTube if you want to subject yourself to it. It's called Fact or Fake Paranormal Files, Season 1, Episode 2. It was a complete waste of time aside from being able to see a much better view of the yard during daylight hours and actually getting to meet Jose himself. The yard looks much smaller on the show than it did on the original footage. So if you watch the original footage of the Fresno Nightcrawler, the yard looks pretty fucking big. But on the show, with HD cameras and everything, and during daylight hours, it actually looks very small.
Mm-hmm.
So the show has like a forcibly diverse cast of just cookie cutter characters, seemingly cut straight out of one of those stock photographs of people laughing while eating salad. Have you ever seen those?
Nope.
Well, it's like some overpaid marketing team just slapped them together and forced them all to pretend to be like a real A-team of paranormal investigators. And everything gets scripted right down to the stuff that's not supposed to look scripted. So, as an example, this dude named Bill held the team title of scientist, but they never actually explained what kind of scientist he actually was. At one point during the episode, their walkie-talkies died, and Bill's metal detector stopped working despite all of it having fresh batteries. Quote, "Something in this area is definitely causing electronics to fail. Maybe it's the creatures in the area that Jose reported that are somehow causing our equipment to malfunction," Bill was quoted as saying, directly into the cameraman's perfectly functioning camera. Tragically, Jose, the man who captured the original footage, died in a car accident several years ago, but this mystery lives on, as this or similar creatures have been spotted in other locations around the world since this footage was taken, such as Yosemite National Park and as far away as Poland. Shout out to Poland.
In 2011, a retired couple living near Yosemite National Park set up a security camera on their property after having trouble with trespassers coming onto their land. In footage dated March 28, 2011, two light-colored figures can be seen walking on camera. They were both wishbone-shaped, with a tiny head on top and no discernible arms. One figure was rather tall, while the other was more short and stout in structure. On the footage, they can be seen slowly shutting across a path in the dark like zombies, moving from left to right, passing behind a couple of trees before disappearing off the camera to the right. The footage is shot in green night vision, and it's a bit clearer than the footage Jose shot in his front yard.
Yeah, so on this bit of footage, I watched it, and you know what the movement reminded me of was, do you know what, have you ever seen someone crip walk?
Creep walk? Like
Yeah, it's like a gangster walk.
gangster walk.
It's like, never mind, it's fine, but if anyone out there knows what crip walking is, that's kind of what it reminded me of.
Another alleged clip of the Nightcrawler was caught in Montana in 2020. In the home surveillance footage captured one April night in 2020, a propane tank can be seen in the background as the headlights of the passing car illuminate the yard. A possible Fresno Nightcrawler can be seen scurrying away in an attempt to hide from the car headlights.
So I want to add here that recently, since I wrote this episode, there was a History Channel show that came out called The Proof Is Out There, and they actually interviewed the guy who took the Montana footage. So let's roll clip 3.
My name is Sean Reagan, and I discovered the deer carcass in the morning. Nothing added up about how it wound up there and what happened to it. We would have expected, if it were a mountain lion, to be completely picked to the bone, torn to shreds. We thought to check the footage to see if there was anything on there that would show what had happened, about how it had died. And so upon a couple of replays, we noticed in the top corner a humanoid. I would say before this happened, I was much more skeptical about these kind of things. But the second these things happen to you, everything you know and think is turned upside down. It starts off as disbelief and then kind of trickles into paranoia and kind of anxiety and fear, because you have no logical concept of what something like that is. And when we brought it to the internet, it didn't take very long to realize that this was something super unique and significant. Right away, people were like, that is no doubt a Fresno Nightcrawler. And then what kind of added to the shock of the experience was then looking up what a Fresno Nightcrawler is supposed to look like, and then seeing this spitting image between what we saw on the web and what we had on the camera, of just being like, this is exactly that. This is nothing else. This is what we're seeing right here. And it felt very vindicating in a way to see it in other places, to know that we were not the only people who have experienced this. It's really helped me appreciate and kind of understand the paranormal community so much more. And I found myself approaching other people in a much warmer fashion, in a much less skeptical fashion when somebody online catches a piece of footage. It's beyond most humans' natural experience of what we're used to.
And we're back. So I want to talk about what we just saw. What did you think of the Sean Reagan interview on the History Channel? Without talking about if you think he's full of shit or if he's telling the truth, just what are your impressions?
I think he really believed in what he was saying. So I don't think he was like making shit up. I think he was really kind of scared and stuff. So yeah, that's what
Okay.
I think.
Well, without revealing how I actually feel, I'm just not so sure what his motives are to come out and tell the History Channel this shit. But we'll talk more about this when we go over our theories at the end. Is this all a hoax? An unknown creature? An alien? Or has crystal meth gone too far? Let's quickly list off some of the most common theories out there as to what the Fresno Nightcrawler actually is. 1. An alien or extraterrestrial being. 2. a new species, possibly a primate with short arms. 3. A misidentified deer standing upright. 4. Pants and or a puppet on a wire. 5. A person wearing big pants and walking on stilts. 6. A runaway pair of ghost pants. 7. A renegade blast of meth smoke from one of Jose's neighbors. 8. A hoax perpetrated by Jose. 9. A bird walking, such as a crane. Or 10. A plastic bag blowing in the wind. So, Ivan, what do you think all of this is, man? Just let it all out there.
Okay, man. So, in my opinion, after watching all the footage and listening to the interviews and stuff like that, I still believe that it's a hoax, man. That's what I think. And yeah, maybe probably a couple of tweakers just having fun pranking the poor old guy, you know, they were just like not realizing what the hell they're actually doing. Or maybe even the same guys who freaking stole this guy's bike last night. They were just like, man, this fucking guy installed the security camera, let's just destroy his life and shit. But my points, because I don't have like exact proof that it was a hoax, but I've got a couple of points about the reaction that people got after seeing that, especially Jose or that TV host or the other guy. So then you told me that you're gonna discuss that. So I decided to read a book about like the psychology of these processes, and they made a couple of good points. At first, I thought that probably he's just might be under lots of stress because he marginalized in some way.
Okay, I need to ask you something. When you say you think it's a hoax, do you think all of it's a hoax, or do you think some of it's not a hoax? Do you think some of it's real? Or just do you think all of it's bullshit?
I definitely believe that their emotions and reactions are real. It's not fake. Like,
okay,
I don't know about the last guy we saw, because after you like stated your opinion, I thought, oh, maybe he's like saying some shit. but the Jose and the TV host, I don't know, but Jose definitely.
You mean Victor Camacho?
Genuine.
The radio show host, Victor Camacho.
Probably, I think probably he also.
Yeah, the guy who did the MUFON.
Yeah,
the MUFON
yeah, I think
prison.
he believes that. And the Jose, they haven't seen him, but definitely I think it's the story is realistic, and I think his emotions are genuine. Genuine. And then he told the TV host that like, oh, I cannot leave the house. I think he was really scared.
And what did you, okay, you said you read a book on some psychology.
Yeah, anomalistic psychology. And
anomalistic psychology.
Yeah, like they tried to use psychology to describe the anomal experiences, just the ones that Jose had and the other guy in the interview. And one point they made, it was marginalization hypothesis. So that the people who are marginalized, they're under more stress in comparison like to the normal population. And I had this point, but then you told me that the Fresno is mostly Hispanic community.
Yeah.
And the fact that the Jose doesn't speak any English probably won't put him under too much stress.
It could. You gotta keep in mind. Yeah, I guess. Yeah, Fresno is heavily Hispanic, but I guess you could make the argument that the country he lived in, he's a minority. And if he doesn't speak English, that's going to be very fucking hard to live.
So it might make life a bit more stressful for him, right?
It could, but yeah, go on.
And then they made another point. According to another research, people in Latin America are more prone to believe in paranormal phenomena, according to the data.
Yeah, that's definitely true.
Yeah, so it makes... And the fact that he is living in Hispanic community makes it even more relevant to that story. So, and that's why, again, I was thinking about the TV station and the host, that they kind of cater to the Hispanic population mostly
Yeah.
too.
Mm-hmm.
So that would make them, in a way, maybe not consciously, I hope not consciously, motivated to actually promote this sort of material, because it's quite popular among their viewers. So, and yeah, the case about his emotions, because he's so stressed and he believes in the in paranormal, for example, because he is Hispanic. I mean, it might be too much of a stretch, but for example,
I guess we don't really know much about Jose.
yeah, so
but
it's a stretch.
yeah, we can only like kind of extrapolate that.
Data,
people in the Hispanic community, they might be more likely to believe in the paranormal.
And what they say, they use it like as a defense mechanism against like extreme anxiety and stuff like that. So they're trying to explain unexplainable using their own like understanding of the world, and then that's what he got. And he saw something that he couldn't explain, and the first thing that came up to his mind was like, oh shit, it might be some weird stuff. And then he called the TV host, and he, of course, not TV host called him, and he also felt that it was all real because of the emotional component, because emotions were all genuine. And another one, the second point, is that it's again about stress. And they had another study in that book, and according to that study, people who live in who are exposed to like chronic stress and anxiety, they are again more prone to believe in superstitions and supernatural things and phenomena. And in that story, we got to remember that his bike got stolen. So
well, we don't know exactly what got stolen. Did you actually read that he got his bike stolen, or because I'm not sure. When you said his bike got stolen, it kind of made me laugh because I didn't read that anywhere. I just read that some stuff got stolen.
Really?
Yeah, I didn't know that it was specifically a bike.
So I probably just made it up.
You in your head.
Or just some psychic abilities or some shit, you know?
You could be right. But...
Or maybe I did that. You know? Oh, no. We gotta delete that part. So anyway.
No, we're leaving it in.
Yeah, some shit got stolen, right? So probably he was like, what the hell is going on in my community? So he had to install the camera. So he was expecting someone to come, which would put him under more pressure. And again, that would make him more prone to use these superstitions as a defense against that. So he will try to understand, oh, these are the ghosts, not some unknown shit is going on. So that's my argument. But again, the similar argument can be made against my point of view, because as Carl Jung said, but it's not a quote because I don't remember exactly, modern men believe in science is akin to believe in the ghost of the ancient people. So for us, we're trying to always use science, and sometimes we bend the stories, in a way to fit into our own understanding, so we don't feel anxious as shit because of that weird stuff. So yeah, that's my point, man. What do you think?
I thought you made a lot of good points, but I think you sought to explain this more in like a psychological way, which I actually agree with most of what you said, but it didn't explain anything about what it was. Like what was it, dude? You went on this whole spiel about, psychology and everything, but what was it that they saw? I want to know, did you have any thoughts about what it actually was?
Yeah, it's a hard one because the quality of the video wasn't, superb, so it was hard to see. A pair of pants or some guys just holding a...
So you think it was like a hoax?
Yeah, I think it was a hoax. Yeah,
Okay.
I said it in the beginning, but I didn't went into details.
Okay. Well, do you want to know what I think?
Of course, sure.
All right, so I agree with you. I don't think that Jose was a liar. I think he was genuinely scared. Jose was just a humble Hispanic gentleman, and he didn't speak English. So the resources he could reach out to were limited. And so who does he call? He didn't know what else to do but to contact Univision, that Spanish language TV station. So he contacted Univision hoping to get some help. And instead they hired some guy, I'll call him a charlatan, just of a paranormal researcher named Victor Camacho. And what does Victor Camacho do? He scares the shit out of Jose even more by telling him that it's an extraterrestrial insectoid on his lawn. So he's like, oh, fuck, I got a extraterrestrial insectoid infestation on my front lawn. Oh, god damn it. So he's even more scared at this point. So I think that Victor Camacho basically used this footage to advance his career, because he had no problem scaring the shit out of Jose just to advance his own interest. And he goes around to MUFON and he tries to promote himself that way. So one thing you got to remember, this footage was shot on an old VHS tape. You're familiar with VHS tapes, right?
Yeah.
So who knows how many times this was recorded over before the Nightcrawler footage was shot, because when you record over and over on the same VHS tape, the quality degrades each time. So if you record on a VHS tape hundreds of times, well, we don't know exactly how many times he recorded over it, but it was quite a few. The footage was very shitty and grainy.
So your point is that it might have been just an artifact of the because of the over.
Well, yeah, let me get into what I actually think. So if you know the geography of Fresno, it's an agricultural community, or a city rather, and around Fresno, we don't know exactly where this happened, where the address was. We can't pull it up on Google Street View because he kept his address secret. But if you look around Fresno, they've got a lot of like little ponds and little irrigation system, like irrigation channels and shit like that, because of all the farming they do there. And because of that, I think that some cranes or some geese or some type of bird that lives nearby in one of those just somehow made its way to Jose's yard. Two of them walked across his yard, and because his video is so fucking shitty, that VHS tape, what got recorded is this blurry thing that looks all like some crazy ass shit walking across his lawn. But I don't think that it was anything supernatural. And I don't even think it was a hoax. I think that these were just two birds that, like cranes. Oh, I want to show you after we get finished here, but I think they were cranes because, on the way to my gym that I walk to every day, it's about a mile away, but I have to cross this bridge over this, I guess you would call it like this man-made river or big drainage ditch. It's about like 50 feet wide. And there's cranes there. And several months ago, I was walking across and I was looking at the cranes inside of it. And I was like, oh, dude, that's a Fresno Nightcrawler. Because if you look at it from far away, it almost looks like they don't have legs, because their legs are so thin that they just look like they're hovering when they're far away. And so I think that's kind of what happened here. These things didn't look like they had legs. They looked like they were like floating above the grass. And I think that second figure where it looks like it's these walking pants, I think those were just his wings extending out as it was kind of jogging along the grass or whatever. And I think that's what made it look like these were a pair of pants. It's just a shitty VHS tape. It's been recorded over hundreds of times probably. And just a shitty camera. And yeah, I think they were cranes probably.
Yeah,
Cranes.
the point about the camera that you said, actually you mentioned it before, that then they did the actual footage of the backyard. It was smaller, right?
It was the
then
front
it was
yard.
on VHS, so probably there was something up with the camera too.
Yeah, well, okay, this was 2007 and it was a VHS tape. Even in even in 2007, VHS was like outdated technology. So, yeah, dude, I just think this was an old VHS tape and the quality of the footage was really shitty. And I think it was a bird. a crane more specifically, or some other big stupid bird thing.
And then everyone got into that.
And then that's where the myth took off. And then the second piece of footage, the Yosemite footage, with the one that's like the green night vision, I think that was just a straight up hoax. And I think that was like 3D, like CGI'd.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, I didn't believe that one for a second.
How about the last guy?
Full of shit. The Sean Regan interview on History Channel. No, dude, I don't. You know what I think that footage is? I think that's footage of him wearing oversized sweatpants, like pulled up over his head, and like an atomic wedgie. Have you ever had an atomic wedgie?
Atomic wedgie?
Yeah, it's like where someone pulls your pants up over your head. It's like someone pulls up your waistband all the way up, and then it's like going up your ass crack, and then the waistband goes over your head. That's basically what he's doing, and he's like dancing around and shit. I think it's just him doing that with.
Yeah. I looked for the comments on YouTube, and some guy said that it might have been just a deer or something standing on two legs fighting with the other deer or some shit like that.
I didn't think of that, but I don't see that. I think it was a hoax. I think the History Channel shit was just a fucking hoax.
Yeah.
And then did you see the Poland footage?
Yeah,
it's
fake. It's definitely
yeah.
fake. The Poland footage doesn't look real.
Yeah.
But I think poor guy Jose, man. He stayed at home for 2 weeks.
Yeah, I think he was genuinely scared. I think this shook him up, but ultimately I don't think that it was like a sinister explanation. I think that Victor Camacho used Jose's fear to sort of as like a springboard for his own career. So he's like, oh, look what footage I have. And then he garnered all this new attention from the world because he's like working with this guy who took footage of this unknown creature. And he's like, hey, that's an extraterrestrial insectoid. Anyway, I think it's just all bullshit. And I think Jose genuinely believed something was wrong, but I mean, yeah, I think that's what it was, man. Well, do you think we solved it? Or do you think that we still have some questions?
I really liked your hypothesis about the bird and the camera and the camera. And yeah, I think we also described why did they feel the way they felt. So I think I think we did pretty well.
All right, man. Well,
I think it's a hoax.
You think it's a hoax too? Well,
Yeah.
are you in agreement with me?
I think it's a valid hypothesis, but I'm not sure. I got to see the birds. And again, it's either that or maybe some tweaker or someone else.
You think it's a renegade blast of meth smoke from one of Jose's neighbors?
Probably not that, but maybe someone did it because, again, some people tried it, like I read on the web. Some people tried it and some people didn't do really well, but some people did it better. So I don't know. I think maybe it was human-made hoax.
Okay, so gun to your head, you have to choose. Is it a hoax or is it just a misunderstanding?
Misunderstanding. You mean a bird or?
Yeah, just some innocent explanation that just got misconstrued as something else.
Gun to my head, man. Come
Yeah,
on.
you got to choose, man, and you got to pick the right answer or it's going off.
The first one, hard to say. Poland, definitely a hoax. The last one with the guy from Montana, some misunderstood image, I think, because it's
Okay. So
for
you
sure. But
all right.
the Jose, shit, man, gun to my head.
Well, don't think too hard.
Distorted
Man.
image. Okay.
Distorted image.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, that's what I think too. So I think we solved it, don't you?
Yeah, we did.
All right, man. Well, do you have any apologies, retractions, or shout outs before we go?
Yeah, it's our first episode, so yeah, thank you, man, for inviting me for on this podcast, and yeah,
Yeah. All right. Well, is that a shout out to me?
yeah.
Okay. Well,
it is shout out to you, man.
I got a couple things. So I'd like to apologize to the people of Fresno on your behalf because you said some pretty harsh things about their great city. And also shout out to the decent, hardworking, gainfully employed people of Fresno because you do the job that the rest of the country is unwilling to do, which is live in Fresno. You guys are the real heroes. All right, man, do you have any final thoughts before we go?
No, I think we did really well. So.
R.I.P. Jose.
Yeah, poor Jose, man.
All right, man. Well, I think it's about time to get out of here. Like sands through the hourglass, so too are the minutes of our podcast. But don't fret, dear listener. We'll be back again to breathe new life into an old mystery next time.
Помните, ребята, истина прячется в тени. Вместе мы найдем ответ.
This is Super Mystery Bros.
Only in Fresno, California, 559 tweakers at their best. Out here cleaning the streets with a fucking stick. These are your 559 local tweakers. Stay tuned, like and subscribe for more. Tweakers be tweaking.